Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday. We are setting up a temporary podcast studio. So this is not the normal studio. I get it. That's okay. We're going to make this work for a few months. So a lot of you have been asking, what's going on? This is a crazy weekend, and we have some updates that we're going to be giving you that are going to allow you to get a sneak peek into what's going to happen, especially over the next couple months. So as we're getting started here, I do want to say, first of all, hope you guys are having a great weekend. That's important. And, let you know what actually took place this weekend for us here in Florida. So we had a lot of moving parts, especially with the projects that we're working on. And Grant Cardone had his 66th birthday on Thursday, and we celebrated that at headquarters. And Gary Cardone, his twin brother, also had his birthday on Thursday, and we got to celebrate that last night in Tampa. So talk about a whirlwind of probably 24 to 48 hours. That's it. And there are a couple of projects that are coming up that I believe are a direct impact for what we're doing in our shows. More importantly, events. This is going to be a very big event coming up April 2nd through 4th. I'm sure many of you have already heard about it. If you're on Facebook or if you're on Instagram or you follow Grant Cardone, the 2024 Growth Conference, which will be the 8th annual, it is the largest and best business networking conference, according to Forbes magazine. That is taking place at the Diplomat in Miami. And it has been something that has been really cool to watch and be a part of. And that event is going to be the Super Bowl or the World Series of networking. The past guests have just been incredible. It's been Floyd Mayweather, Kevin Hart, Megyn Kelly, former President Donald Trump, Tom Brady. We go down the list. Kevin O'Leary, Damon John, Snoop Dogg was there, Rick Ross. There are a slew of celebrities when it comes to speakers at this event. And from what I hear, this is going to be bigger and better than the past 7 years. So you want to talk about some craziness that's going on. They usually spend about 7 or 8 months to build up to this event. So running events, I kind of know how that works. And that's really cool to watch the internal components and all the moving parts to it. Which allow us to even enhance and strengthen our events as we're learning a lot as we go. That has basically been the weekend. Now, as we're moving forward, a lot of you have started to sign up for the April 20th posing clinic at Iron City Gym, which will be that Saturday, which for Eventbrite, that's where you can find your ticket and reserve your ticket. And most of you have already been to Tour Stop 1 and Tour Stop 2, which the first one was held at World Gym in Texas City, which was our kickoff. And you got the chance to see Competition Kit, Rocks Discount Supplement, Pretty Girl Fits. Let's see, Suits by Jody, A Game by Sharon, Power Fit Meals. I do believe Vitamin Shop was there too. Going down the list, and then you got a chance to meet some of our coaches like Amy Lee, Aaron Elliott, Chris Darby, Tyson Brazil, Mike Hamilton, John Carty. I know I'm missing a few here. Lalo was there as well, Hilario from Armor Fitness. And I think we had 2 more, and you're going to be mad at me, Harvey. I'm sorry, I did not forget you, I promise. But as we've gone through to the second posing clinic, we have also new faces and coaches like Scott Lightfoot, IFBB Pro. And we've also had our other vendors who weren't able to make it. That would be Cloned. And Steve has founded that company and is going to be our official trophy provider, to where what we do is we make a 3D figurine of our overall winners, which means when they come off stage, they'll go into the photo booth. They're going to have a 3D printer, which once we get the 105 cameras capturing that person, which is you, if you win, they're going to have a 3D printer, which takes about 3 to 5 weeks to build a figurine of you. And then we're going to put it on a base and get it sent to you for your custom trophy. So those are those little things and those little touches that we're doing this year that no other organization is doing or can do right now or has done in the past. So that's one of the things that we have going on. The second thing is our Posing Clinic 3. We will also have new coaches that we're adding, new athletes that we're adding, as well as new vendors and partners. So Cindy with GPS Wealth Management, she's our financial guru who are helping a lot of the athletes and you with helping to build your wealth and a generational and lifetime wealth. We also do have Dr. Shiv Goel, who will also be on a podcast soon. So he's with Prime Vitality Wellness. He deals in longevity, hormone replacement, peptides, PRP, stem cells, anything aesthetic. If things need to get fixed, we can get there. So, he's known for also certain plastic surgery procedures, which can help. So for a lot of you who are in transformation, for example, you maybe have some loose skin if you've lost 100 pounds or 150 pounds. And, it takes time for your body to adapt to your new body after you've lost an entire body. So that's really cool that we have someone who is partnering with us that's allowing to get the best possible treatment, the most reputable companies, and the best quality. All those things encapsulate what we're doing with Stormtrooper Productions. And that's one of the reasons why we've grown to 4 events this year. More importantly, I just had a conversation with 2 very well-known people in the industry over the last 3 days. And there is going to be a major shift and disruption in the industry when it comes to where athletes choose to compete. And we knew this was going to happen at some point. There was going to be that shift or that pivot and that turn, which we're currently in right now, which people are opening up their eyes and athletes are saying, okay, what do I really want out of this sport? But more importantly, what do I want for a lifestyle and what is sustainable? And now that we're putting all these pieces of the puzzle together, it's becoming a clear picture for what we have been building ever since we started this thing 6 years ago. And it's exciting to think about who is on board with us. As many of you know, if you're a judge, you have gotten the text from Cortez, and we have now our judging calls. Judge Call 1 is going to be the second week in April. And for those of you who have asked me if you would become a certified judge, we will have a process for that for those who want to get involved for closer to 2024 at the end, if not 2025. So we're going to be bringing you along. We're going to be doing apprentice training for new judges who have never judged before. We also have other organizations that the judging panels have said, hey, I would love to come judge one of your events. We right now have a full panel. However, we are looking to train an alternate judge or 2 because we understand that as we add more events, not every judge can be at each show. So we're going to spice it up a little bit. We're also going to bring along a lot of the veteran judges, some of the ones who, have been doing this for 15 or 20 years at this point. We're going to have more of a mentor-mentee type relationship to where at the table, if an apprentice has a test judging that they're doing during the show, they're going to be able to debrief and pre-brief with their mentor judge. And our head judge is also going to be looking for other head judges to train and call. So that way we have different voices on the mic. We also have standardized criteria across the board and fair and objective judging when it comes to each division. Now, we haven't changed our criteria at all for our core divisions. If you look and you're wondering, okay, how do I find all this information? It's on the Storm Classic show page or Storm Classic events page. The landing page is going to give you the dates of the show, and you're going to click the tab that says divisions, criteria, and stage. I just had a bunch of teens just register for the American Fit Expo Summer Storm Classic July 13th. And so I was getting a lot of questions. It's like, I have a teenage son. He's 17 years old. He's never competed before. He's new to fitness. He plays football, plays baseball, basketball, and he wants to try his hand at fitness. That's cool. We can do that. Understand that everything that he needs to know about bodybuilding, men's classic, and then men's physique is on the website. So that will allow him to say with his coach, these are the divisions that are going to be best, or the division that's going to be best for competing. So I just had a young man, he registered for classic teen and also physique teen. which is really cool because those two classes are so close in criteria that really the difference is what you're wearing on stage, the poses, and the routine. So men's classic gets a routine of up to 90 seconds, and men's physique gets their posing routine 15 seconds. In men's physique, they get house music. In men's classic, on their 90-second routine, they get to pick their choice of music, and then they bring that to our DJ, and that allows them to pose to the tempo, the rhythm, what they practiced for essentially 6 to 8 weeks, or even 16 to 18 weeks, depending on when they started their posing routine. So this is going to allow a smooth transition between division to division. Now, when it comes to ladies, oh, and I did want to mention head coach Anna, of course. Anna is getting involved with some of our social media side, and you'll notice that to all of our videographers and photographers during the posing clinics, Anna, she shot a lot of stuff. She cut and edited her own videos and gave that to us to allow to download for content, as well as Tyson. So we have two coaches that actually, they're really good at the camera stuff. And that's something that I'm not good at. And so you'll see as we go, those are the things that we're adding, and the enhancements of what we're doing is a full comprehensive production to be able to continue to scale and grow while keeping the same standards and reputation. So show season started for a lot of organizations either this last week, the week before, and they're off and running. And we like to have our first show right at that July type period, and usually end by the end of October, because we'll compact that in and we'll do one show a month for 4 months, which will allow a lot of the competitors who want to earn points in the standings. We wiped all the points back at 0, and the first show is going to earn points. You're going to get a certain number of points for being in the show. If you place in open or masters, you're going to get an additional group of points. And if you're doing open and you're age eligible for masters, you get to double dip in points. So what are the standings? Well, the standings are going to tell us who keeps showing up to shows and who keeps showing up at their best and winning or earning placings at these shows. And at the end of the year, our committee gets together. My wife, our CMO, Enrique, our production manager, Cortez, our head judge, a lot of the influences and voices and faces that you see, Morgan Dean, Chris Stone, those guys are going to say, okay, who were some of the athletes that we felt are at their peak and who would be competitive against Europeans? And what we're going to do at the end of the year is we're going to pick, I don't know how many athletes yet, so that's on hold still because we still have $51,000 in prize money that we have to give away at the shows. What we're going to do is we're going to pick the athletes that we feel will best represent from the United States to go compete in the Storm Classic UK for September of 2025. Now, as you know, we're taking 3 athletes that we paid for this year, plus I think there's 5 more that are going. So I think we're up to 8 total athletes. 5 of them are paying their own way. I'm paying for the other 3. And we're going to go take that to the Storm Classic UK show, which Chris Proctor, who is running that show, he just gave me an update that they have more registered right now than they thought they were originally going to have. So this could be a very, very cool situation. And what most of you don't know, I don't think I've even I don't even think I've said this at all, but I am saying that I am bringing enhanced prizes, which for some of you know, our championship rings that were made. I made 4 of them. And what's going to happen is each ring is custom made. One is gold with white diamonds. One is gold with blue diamonds, deep blue. One is silver with white diamonds, and one is silver with blue diamonds. Each one of those rings are going to represent an overall and masters champion at each show. So the first show out of the gates, it might be the silver ring with the white diamonds. That's going to be the ring that our overall and masters winners in each division get. And then when we get to the Desert Storm Classic, it might be the gold ring with the deep blue diamonds. We haven't really figured out how we're going to parse that out yet, but that's one of the things that we're going to be able to do. And the Storm Classic UK winners are going to be earning Storm Trooper Production Storm Classic championship rings. Now, that's never been done at a UK show, and we want to make our debut with a splash. And so a lot of the European athletes just want to compete with Americans, but they're going to get a little dish of extra with American type style. So we're going to be able to do that. So Isaac, yeah, you're going to have your own league. It's funny that you say that. I don't know if we really want our own league. I really like what we're doing, even though I think we can scale it. We want to make sure that we scale it slowly but surely. So very similar to how NFF has done their growth. They have great shows where they have a great group of athletes, and they're only going to add a show if it enhances the brand. And I don't want to have 15 promoters trying to do a show under our umbrella when it's not standardized, and things are all over the place, because as you build a strong brand and reputation, you want to make sure and have a solid concrete foundation to build on. So I love the point. I am looking at your comments. So for those of you who are writing comments, I'm going to try and get to those, or even questions. If you have questions we're going to be able to get to that too. Anyway, so the posing clinics are actually leading more athletes into the introduction of what we're doing, as far as we have pros now who are interested in saying, okay, will you honor my pro status? And I always say, look, we're going to honor any athlete. If you're a pro, that's great. We want to give a level playing field to someone who has not earned their pro status yet. So it's very simple. The prize money is up for grabs for the best bodies that win, whether it be a recognized pro, a recognized amateur, a first-time competitor, a veteran competitor, doesn't really matter. Those are going to be an even way to level out the playing field. And that's one of the reasons why it's gotten so much attention, is because a lot of these top pros from other organizations are like, maybe I should go win me some money, because not everybody's paying right now. And especially nobody that I know of, with the exception of myself and Christian Guzman, are paying amateurs. And that's something that you can really hang your head on. If you really feel like you're competitive, that would be the open division, is what you want to be able to enter. Now, if you are age eligible for masters, we're also paying out masters overall, which means top 2 in masters earn money, top 3 in open earn money. And with the masters divisions, we're attracting a lot of folks who, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and in some cases 80 years old, as you guys all met our gentleman who is 82 years old. Actually, he'll be 82 this year. I apologize. And this will be his second year competing at the international show. He was 81 last year. And his name is James. And so everybody will see James when he comes and registers. But he's also in a lot of the promo videos that we cut. And if you haven't seen it, you can just go to my Instagram at Matt Storm Official, or you can go to, and no, I'm not looking at Instagram right now. So I know a lot of you are probably on here from Instagram, which is cool. I apologize, I can't see all your comments, but if you do leave a comment, I'm seeing where the source comes from. So we have X right now, we have LinkedIn, we have Facebook. If you have an Instagram comment, let me see if I can get it. And I appreciate that as well. The Storm standard is real. Yeah, Isaac, you did help build that as well. So, you've competed on our stages before, and you've also expedited the shows. You've been a part of staff, and, we're building a bigger family. I don't think you can really have too much family at this point. So the families are the family members are the people that you trust, you love, you care about, you'll sacrifice for, you'll invest in. That's exactly what we're doing. And that family keeps growing, it seems, by the day at this point. So we're extremely excited and looking forward to seeing how we can really blow this thing up this year, because the other announcement that I'm going to make is now the American Fit Expo, which I still even haven't looked yet, because it's just been a whirlwind of stuff. It's been about 14 to 16 hour days just going. So I'm finally getting the chance to catch up. The American Fit Expo is now live on their website. And from what I understand, a lot of the companies are itching to get every booth secured. So for those of you who have contacted me and said, look, what's the deal? Here's the thing. Everything is now opened up. So what we're going to be able to do is we're going to start looking at charts. We're going to be looking at the floor plan and layout for where we're going to put everything. From what I understand, there will be Strongman. CT Fletcher will be there again. Cali Fitness. We'll have a lot of the superstars. Ronnie Coleman. I know Frontline Alternative is always there. And you'll see a lot of the world champions showing back up. Jay Cutler, he'll have his booth there. Strength Cartel is always there every year. I don't know the full lineup yet, but I know it is growing by the day as well. Don's been really adamant about making sure that we secure amazing folks. Last time I checked, we have a verbal. Booker T and Charmel will be there for some autograph signings. And also, we're hoping that they'll be able to present some trophies. Dale Mills with the Dale Not Dale podcast, one of the superstars and America's favorite uncle from Outdaughtered. Will be there. Him and Vaughn and his team are going to want to do podcasts and live interviews with a lot of celebrities and influencers. So you're going to see a lot of moving parts. That's going to be around our area. So we did request a certain square footage, and we're trying to fit that into the floor plan at the George R. Brown. And yes, the hotel link is live. So thank you for asking that. The Hilton Americas Houston, which is right across the street, there is a second floor skyway, which the host hotel, this is the nicest host hotel we've ever gotten. And the $300 to $400 a night for these rooms, we've gotten cut to $189. And this room block is going to fill up extremely quickly. So if you think of 100,000 square feet of booth space and events going on, guess where everybody's going to want to stay? They're going to want to stay at the closest hotel, the nicest hotel, and typically the cheapest hotel. And as a matter of fact, we got all three of those in one at the Hilton Americas Houston. We've had many events there, not me personally, but we've had many company events there with my other companies. And it is first class, top notch. And you're going to want to book early, because once the room contract fills up, we can see if we can get another block. However, we're not guaranteed those rooms. So please make sure, and you hit on Storm Classic show, go to the American Fit Expo Summer Storm Classic. It should be the third or second tab. And if you go to that, it's going to have the hot link, which you can immediately go on and reserve your room. That is going to be one of those things that you're going to want to do quickly. Showglow should have all of their links up. If not, I'll refresh the links. Just let me know if you run into an issue or a snag or something is going on with that. We'll make sure and get the new link up, because it has been known to, somehow time out, which will get fixed as well if that's the case. Registration, yes, thank you for asking that. Registration is open, and daily people are looking at registration, and daily people are registering. So not only is the American Fit Expo Summer Storm Classic July 13th starting to fill up, the Desert Storm Classic in Phoenix is filling up. And I just talked to Joe and Ty Kane out in Phoenix, and they're in the process of distributing all the flyers and posters for the show. So look out: Phoenix, Glendale, Surprise, Gilbert, Chandler, Scottsdale, downtown Phoenix, I don't know what that's called, Tempe, everywhere around Phoenix, even Tucson, as far south as Tucson. You're going to see some of the gyms have a lot of the Desert Storm Classic posters and flyers up, because we do pull a lot of athletes from there, from Flagstaff, from LA, from San Diego, from Las Cruces, all the way up to Colorado. And it looks like our Washington team, our Seattle Washington team, wants another run at one of the Storm Classics. So I don't know if they're going to come to the Desert Storm Classic yet, or maybe, saddle up a group and bring them to the Storm Classic International in Houston. However, it could be one or the other or both. Because of the point standings, they're a little bit more incentivized to want to get involved, not just in one show, but maybe two shows, or maybe even in all three in America, just to get to Europe next year. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of things going on right now, and a lot of moving parts that I think people are starting to make their arrangements and plans, realizing that there's a legitimate shot of earning a lot of good prize money. And there's also a shot at earning a trip to Europe. And because we have upgraded and enhanced our prizes, not just the prize money, but the prizes, the championship rings, the figurines, the swords. Ooh, I did not talk about the swords yet. The backpacks. I saw that comment. You can't get that passed. I think we had like 14 or 15 backpacks go out on the first run, and every single person loved their backpacks so much. But I want to be clear about the patches. You have to earn those patches. So let me show you. Just happen to have one of my backpacks here, and this is the all black backpack. This is the first one that I got to make sure it was good enough for you guys. So as you see, you're going to see there are the Summer Storm Classic patch, and then everyone who earns a back or gets a backpack earns the Stormtrooper production. And then if we go over here, the American flag is on all of them as well. And hopefully you can still hear the mic because I'm going to bring it over here. You've got, if you've competed in the Desert Storm Classic, you're going to get your Desert Storm Classic. And if you've competed in the Storm Classic International, you're going to get your Storm Classic International patch. So all that being said, those patches are earned, not given. And you can't buy a Storm Classic International patch unless you've competed in the show, period. If you have, I'm just going to give it to you at this point. So I had somebody ask, so like, how do I get that cool patch? And so Jen, she was in Transformation in Bikini, and she's actually, she's a pro in OCB. And she's like, how do I get how much is it? And I'm like, it's free for you because you've already earned that patch for the show. And so what we'll do is, I have not made Storm Classic UK patches. That's going to be the next run. And then that'll be the 5th patch. I don't even know where you're going to put them on all these things, but if you're going to the Storm Classic UK already this year, that will be a patch that you will be given at the show in Europe, in Milton Keynes. And I just can't think of any better way to make this, you know, more appealing. I have talked to a lot of promoters. I mean, I'm talking like there are more promoters reaching out and calling now than I've ever had. And, you know, with that, I'm kind of keeping the finger on the pulse and the ear to the ground on what's going on in other shows and other organizations. And what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to see the shows that are trending and growing. You know, maybe there's been a show that's been around for 5, 10, 15 years at this point, and some of those shows continue to grow and trend, and then some plateau, and then some just kind of fall off the map, or they slowly decline every year. And so what I'm doing is I'm keeping my eye on those promoters who are doing the right things to continue to grow the athlete base, where athletes are talking just amazingly cool about that show, the promoters, the experience, the people who are there, what they got out of the stage. And even if they didn't win, they walk away and say, that was a really well-run show. This is what I liked, and also this is what I didn't like. So we're hard at work in the background, going through and deciding and deciphering. You're going to notice that there are going to be more people involved this year. And as a matter of fact, you're going to see them at the show. And we're also looking to expand probably 1 or 2 more positions for 2025, because there has been talk of adding another show for 2025. We just need to make sure that we're capable of doing it and we're able to pull it off with the right personnel, especially if it's not in Houston. So we're scouting out different cities right now. You know, at this point, we're open to possibilities, but we're not necessarily putting anything firm on the calendar for either a date or a location, or if we're going to add one. So I mentioned that on the last podcast, or it was, I guess, just a quick live. And somebody asked me, they go, hey, tell me about that 5th show that you just talked about. And I'm like, okay, it's a little premature. It's a little early. We are pumping the brakes on everything until we get full confirmation that, number one, if we put the show there, there are going to be plenty of athletes and plenty of audience members to make it a worthwhile show that people want in that city. We're not going to take a bunch of athletes from all over the country and try and make it a destination show. We have done that in Las Vegas. So a lot of you asked, okay, how did you pull off a show at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas back in 2021? And, you know, that was one of those bucket list shows that everybody still talks about to this day. That was one of the most memorable shows that we've ever done. Will we ever go back to the MGM Grand? Most likely not. We don't have $3 million to throw around to put that production together. That would actually probably just bankrupt all the other shows. So that wouldn't be a smart move, if that makes sense. So we're pretty cerebral in how we want to continue to expand. And as you're looking, a lot of the beanies, like the hats, for example, we still have a few of these still available, but a lot of these sold out. And so we made a new batch. So we have all of the same colors. We just replenished the stock with the embroidery. And when we made the beanies, some of you saw the beanies with the leather patches, and they were burned into the Storm Classic and Stormtrooper Productions. Well, they ended up, the European group, they wanted a bunch of beanies. So when Leanne and I traveled over to the show in London, we took a lot of merch over there. And so everybody who got merch is showing it off in their gym and they're like, what is that? And sure enough, they're talking. And now, like, we have chatter in London right now at different gyms, and we have maybe one or two athletes in kind of sprinkled around in gyms, and they're just talking about how great the Storm Classic UK is going to be. So I have a very strong feeling that this year all 4 shows are going to just be super robust. And I think Chris is more excited than anybody right now on that show. And he has done an incredible job on social media. He is the official promoter for that show. Even though it's under our umbrella, that's technically his show. And he is doing a great job with it. And I knew he always would. This was the chance for us to finally work together again, where it's just such a good relationship. But more importantly, there's really great chemistry there. We think a lot alike when it comes to the sport, what we want to give to athletes and how we're going to continue to give that back. So that's something that, if you're not in this sport or you're not in the industry of where we are, and you're kind of curious and you're kind of, peeking behind the curtain and saying, hey, what's going on with health? What's going on with bodybuilding, with fitness? I've always wanted to look better, feel better, live longer. Well, we're putting all of those things together under one roof, and we're able to showcase and show those things off. So it doesn't matter where you are in life. I want to be clear on this. Our shows are not just for competitive bodybuilders and fitness enthusiasts. That's the big misconception that I think most people were thinking. And that's what we mainly talked about. Our 7 core divisions are bodybuilding, classic physique, women's bodybuilding as well, and women's physique, which, those are kind of the bodybuilding and physique categories for men and women. So it's technically 2, but even though 4. And then we've got men's physique, wellness, figure, and then bikini. So those round out those 7. Now, what we did was we decided to add kids fitness. So we had 3 more kids sign up and register, which we have a 0 to 10-year-old category and an 11 to 15-year-old category where we want kids to be involved. If a family, let's say there's a competitor and their son or their daughter wants to compete and they want to do a routine together to show off their journey, and do a 60-second routine, that's why we have family fitness. That's why we have transformation, someone who has made a huge stretch and taken the first step into owning and taking responsibility for their health when they felt like maybe they couldn't take the next step, or they couldn't get off the couch, or they couldn't get to the gym because they were too embarrassed, or they didn't have the energy or the motivation. So that's really why the transformation category is so inspirational. And that's probably the one that tugs at the heartstrings the most. And that's why we added transformation to every single show. And yes, it is fun too. I mean, there's a little fitness modeling involved where, not everything is so rigid. And a lot of the girls love the Angel Wings division. And that's where you get to be creative. You get to, be empowered. You get to be confident. You get to be poised. You get to have a little creativity. And I love the fact that when we did Angel Wings last year, there was so much creativity in the costumes. There were chokers, there were bracelets, there were anklets, there were feathers, there were peacocks. There was a wingspan, I think, of like 6 foot with the young lady who took 3rd place. And it was a Maleficent. And that was super creative. I mean, she went all the way down to the contacts, the headdress, everything. And so that is really what we're looking at for that division, the creativity, and also allowing to be more inclusive for those to really where there's something for everybody. A lot of the shows that used to be traditional it just was bodybuilding. And if you go back to the sport 20 years ago, it was literally bodybuilding and women's figure or women's bodybuilding. There were only 3 categories. That was it. And then in 2012, men's physique came along because what they realized is there were a lot of athletic men who just couldn't physically get big enough to compete with these mass monsters. So they tried out some board shorts, and sure enough, that came in. Women's bikini, that was shortly before men's physique. Women's bikini was like, hey, if you go to the beach and you see someone in a bikini and they look like they're in shape and they're fit, well, that became one of the most popular categories. And now what's really trending is wellness. What is up with wellness? Well, if you want to talk about the ultimate landmark or icon of women's strength, go to wellness. A lot of muscle development, typically in the glutes and in the lower legs. And, the conditioning is there too. So you look at the way that the sport is evolving, and that's the reason why these categories were made. Now, are there other categories out there? Yeah. We're going to be more evolving as we go in the next 5 to 10 years, and who knows what we're going to add. But right now, we've got a really good combination and mix of the different categories that allow pretty much anybody that they want to be involved. It's just a question of when you want to get involved and what level you want to get involved in. So when we talk about like the ultimate competitive, that's open. If we talk about recreational and you're, kind of checking it out, that's novice. If you're brand new, we even have what we call a beginner category, which, what do you think that's for? First timers, right? And they're scared to death. Some don't even have posing coaches. Some have never dieted before. Some don't know how to train correctly just yet, but they at least are on the way. And I see a lot of the beginners. I can tell right away in registration on Friday when we do check-in, I can tell who's a beginner. And you can usually tell by the look on their face, and it's usually by how hesitant they are to kind of come up to the table and get their registration taken care of, but more importantly, how they're sizing everybody up in the room. They're like, oh my gosh, do I even belong in this room? And it's cool to watch because I've seen some of these beginners when they first came to us and they were scared to death. And when they got a taste of competing, it didn't matter how they placed. It's just that they took the step to make the commitment to follow through with it. And then what happens is they get a little bug. And then when they come back their second time, they come back better. When they come back their third time, and in some cases, their second time, they win. Their first time, sometimes they win. I remember Natalie Hayes. Natalie Hayes was in Phoenix, and I didn't even know who Natalie was. She wasn't even on the radar. She didn't even look at the registration, but she called the week before the show. She's like, hey, I heard there's a show. I'm thinking about doing it. I'm like, all right, cool. We went back and forth for like 4 days on text. I'm like, you want to do it or not? And if Natalie's watching, you remember this. And I finally just said, look, are you going to do it or not? Because if so, let's do it. If not, don't do it. Come watch, or just don't even worry about it anymore. So finally she registered, right? And when she comes in, she's a natural athlete. She's someone who made her own suit. She did her own tanning and makeup for the show. She did her own posing. She did her own prep, which means she made her own meal plan and made her own food. I mean, I'm talking like zero outside. It's all her. And she's 22 years old. And so when she came up, she's very shy, very quiet, very reserved. And, she did all of her stuff. She went down the line. And then show day, when she gets on stage, nobody expected that. I'm talking like, holy cow. And just to give you kind of a fast forward on that, not only did she win figure, which she's really kind of a women's physique athlete, she went on to win Mr. America. And when she won Mr. America, and she won the Yorton Cup in OCB, and she won like 4 different world championships that year. That was last year. The first time we saw her was in August. We had no clue who she was. And you'll see her on Instagram. I mean, she stays in incredible shape year round, and she's doing everything. And I talked to her mom and I said, you have to be extremely proud of this young lady. I mean, she does things at a level that most people would not even think about doing. And she's so humble about it. She's so gracious about it. And that is the biggest impact and influence that you can have in the world, is not talk, but it's just do. And we're finding more and more of those people. And it's really cool to see how they're influencing and affecting new athletes. Now, let me tell you one of the things that we also have found. In this industry, we have found that it can go slightly downhill if you don't have your priorities in order. So if you're going through a lot of issues right now, personal problems, your mental state is just not where it needs to be in the gym. You know that, right? And I normally say, hey, we'd love to have competitors on stage, but if it's going to be detrimental, don't do it. Make sure that you're preparing yourself. And that doesn't mean quit when it gets tough. That just means push through when it gets tough, but also set yourself up for success. Do not set yourself up for failure. If you have a 12-hour a day, 4-day a week job, and you're trying to train at 3 a.m., you got to go to work at 5 a.m., you get off at 5 p.m., and then you got to prep all your meals and do it all over again. And the schedule doesn't work. Make sure that you have everything in order priority-wise, even before you start the prep or even before you decide to do the show. The one thing that I find is people, when they're not going through prep correctly, it's very easy for them to give up. And so what you'll see is they'll tell people that they're going to do this show and they're in prep. And then all of a sudden, 4 weeks later, they gave up because they thought they were going to see all the results and it was going to go perfectly. And that's the biggest mistake of an athlete. Let me tell you, there's not one prep that's easy. If it is, you probably didn't prep right. You're going to have curveballs and twists and turns, and you're going to have tests and you're going to have obstacles. That's the beauty of prep, because it should be a very, very challenging thing. Prep is not for everybody. And the reason why is because not everybody can go through it mentally. But when you do, you've got that badge of honor and you know you can do it the next time. So keep in mind that I think it's important that the ones who really do well in this sport, because it is a sport long term, are the ones who find a way to push through the tough stuff. They don't complain about it. They don't make excuses for it. They don't blame others. Just because your coach didn't get back to you in 24 hours doesn't mean they're a bad coach. So keep in mind, for God's sake, trust your coach. That's the reason why you hired them in the first place. So coaches, I see all of you watching. You're welcome, right? I just see so many people give up on their coach before they give up on themselves, and then they give up on themselves because they thought their coach gave up on them. Heard that. I've had 4 coaches in my career, and never, ever during the middle of a prep did I change coaches, because I needed to stick with that coach. The longer I stuck with that coach, by the way, the coach that I had in my pro debut stuck through me my entire pro debut, because he learned my body. He understood what it took to get to the next level. He also understood what I was going up against, because he did his homework with me to say, this, you need to come in a little heavier on this one. You might sacrifice a shade bit of conditioning, but you need to come in probably about 5 pounds heavier. Okay, that's good to know. Let's do some water manipulation. Let's do some sodium manipulation. Let's up your carbs. Let's drop your fats. Let's keep your protein right at is. Let's up your calories by a couple hundred. Let's get your cardio up. Let's bring it down. There's all these little things that you can do to control the exact outcome and formula for what you want. Great coaches know how to do that. Great coaches, no matter how good they are, typically can't learn someone's body in just one prep, because every body is so different, and your body will react differently in every prep. Some have a 12-week, some have a 16, some a 20. Just because you did a 16-week prep doesn't mean you can take 4 weeks off and do that same 16-week prep and get the same result. So your body is ever changing. The environment is ever changing. Is it a cold weather? Is it a warm weather? Humid, dry? All those things affect your water intake, your protein intake, how much cardio you need to do. What are your situations at work? Where's your stress levels at home? Are you having financial difficulty? So what we've done is we've tried to figure out, and by the way, we have some experience doing this at this point. This ain't my first rodeo either. I've had about 12 years in the industry. And what I have found is we typically know the common stressors, and when an athlete starts a prep, what it's going to be: significant other or family, right? If you have kids or you have a significant other, those are some of the 2 biggest stressors. Number 2 is your career. Do you have your career set up for success? Have you had the talk with your family or spouse about what you're about to do? Number 3, which is kind of family and spouse will put together. So number 2 is career. Number 3, financial situation. Are you stressing yourself out living paycheck to paycheck? And if you're doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to have to cut corners at one point when that check doesn't cover everything. Are you saving for your tanning, your hair, your makeup, ladies, your heels, your suit? Guys, you don't have makeup, thank God. We don't have heels, thank God, right? But we still have to invest money in our board shorts, in our tanning, in our travel, in our hotel, in our registration. How soon are you registering for your show? You know what I've also found is people who register early commit early, and those are typically at the highest placings because they take their prep differently at a serious level rate that I've never seen somebody who said, I'm going to register 2 weeks before the show and I'll just see how it goes. I'll just see if I'm in shape. And if I don't do that show, I'll just do the next show. That to me is no commitment. And you know what? I registered for my shows at least 10 weeks out. So 2.5 months, I knew the show I was going to do probably 20 weeks out. But at 10 weeks, I said, I've got to put my money where my mouth is. I am all in. I'm burning the boats. They're going to sink. So I have no way back or to retreat. I am going forward from here on out. And whether I get last place or first place, I'm going to do my prep as a binary on and off switch. I might backslide a little bit, but I'm still moving forward every day. And I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to hate myself sometimes. I'm going to take my check-in pictures and send them to my coach, and he's not going to give me a good grade at some point. And you're going to go through the ugly duckling syndrome, and you're going to, doubt yourself and hesitate and have all of these emotions and fears. It happens. Great. You know what that tells me? You're doing it right. And you know what? You're going to have people annoying you, irritating you, traffic, nagging, chores that you put off, husband or wife duties, boyfriend or girlfriend duties. We get it. Family duties, mother and father, right? It's a temporary thing. Pain is not forever. Regret is. Those are the things that people tend to forget. So keep in mind, as you're going through, you're going to go through the exact same emotions that all of us have gone through and been there and done that. And so just because things get tough doesn't mean you pull back and reset. And it doesn't mean you change your target. I've never seen an archer pull back on a 100-yard target and look at the target and say, nah, I'm going to go for 50 this time. They don't do that. They go for 100 yards, and they go to aim small to miss small. They go for bullseye. They don't go just to hit the target. They have a mission, and they're laser focused and they're honed in. So that is the kind of level of prep that if you approach every day with, every day doesn't seem as the same as, and by the way, that time flies when you do that because you have that end date in mind. You have that July 13th. Okay, it's March 22nd right now. July 13th. And all of a sudden, March 22nd jumps to April 15th, which jumps to May 4th. And now it's May 31st. And you are so much farther ahead because even though that timeline keeps going, your body doesn't stay the same and neither does your mindset. So you have to constantly keep talking yourself into it every single day. Now we're talking some pretty deep stuff. I'm kind of spilling the beans a little bit. I only expected to go like 20 minutes, but you know what? We might as well because this is recorded anyway. You can go back and watch it if you want to. And so that's the way that you're able to get from prep to prep to prep. The one thing I did, and I saw Anthony do this. I saw Tyson and Anthony. And by the way, for those of you who know who those two are, they're both men's physique champions. As a matter of fact, from every independent show that we've done, every men's physique winner has either been Tyson or Anthony. And they have a high level of competition, admiration, and respect for each other. And they've taken titles back and forth, right? And so what's interesting about them is Anthony has already started his Storm Classic UK prep last year. And even though that show is September 22nd in London, he's starting to see obliques. You'll go see it on the Instagram post that I put. And what was really interesting about that is most people haven't even started prep for like the July show yet. And he's already thinking towards September and how to win the international show. So his level of foreseeing is much more clear than a brand new competitor could be because they're scared to death just to get on stage and wonder if they're even going to embarrass themselves or not. Anthony and Tyson, they are competitive in different ways and they approach it in different ways, but yet they still keep an eye on each other because they keep pushing each other forward one step at a time. And there's a reason, by the way, if you want to be on my feeds, if you want to be on the Matt Storm official Instagram repost, or if you want to be on the Storm Classic International, Desert Storm Classic, Stormtrooper Productions, or Summer Storm Classic, and if I just said that too fast, just go back and watch the replay. The people that I repost are the ones that just mention or tag us. That's it. We don't play favorites. People are like, why do you keep reposting the same people over and over? I have people that I repost that I have no idea if they're even doing our shows. But they just keep reposting and keep tagging, right? And so they show us love. We show them love. That's how it works. And that's how you become a celebrity in our bubble, in our world. So understand that we love when you are winning. We want everyone else to know in that following that you are winning too, because when you win, we win. That's all there is to it. Anyway, so keep in mind that those are just some of the mental obstacles and hurdles on how they get through them. If they hit that roadblock or that speed bump, they don't slow down, they speed up. So that way they can catch some air going over the speed bump. Much different way of looking at things. Big paradigm shift. Shift it. Cool. If they're going into a prep going, man, I hope I have enough money, I'll just throw it at the wall and see what sticks. No, they'll go get an extra job, or they'll find a way to make some extra money, or they'll save a little bit more before their prep starts. So that way they have a little fund. And if something unexpected comes up, which it always will, might be a doctor bill, might be a flat tire, might be a transmission rebuild, might be, I don't know, rent increases, insurance increases. What doesn't come up is the question. It always will come up. A plane ticket, somebody, a family member passes away, a breakup. I don't know. Figure it out, make a list of what could happen, and then burn it and toss it, and then realize that everything you just put on that list is probably going to happen. But the great people know it's going to happen, but they already wrote it out, and then they already had the solution written out. If that happens, they have, oh, this is going to happen. Well, when this or if this happens, this is what I'm going to do about it. Brilliant. I know it's like total math, right? 2 + 2 = 4. It's great. So those are the little things. Oh man, thank you. And who was that? Shanna, prep for shows is everything. You're exactly right. But you know what? Take the equation of just show. Take the word out. Prep for life is everything. That is life. And if prep is your life all the time, year round, guess what? You're going to approach life differently. That means you're going to be more productive. You're going to be getting things more done because you're on mission. So, all that being said, I'm going to close it there because my battery just died. Hang on. We're still going to see you. Let's see if it works. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't lose you. There you go. If I did, that's okay. Just lost, about 5 to 10 seconds. So sometimes we talk so long, these little batteries, what's cool about them is I put them on the charger and they turn green. So I have 3 of them. And we know we're doing a huge service if we're able to get more content and material out to where you can go back and review. So where is this going to be posted? It's going to be posted on Facebook. It's going to be posted on LinkedIn, 2 YouTube accounts. It's going to be on the Matt Storm TX and the Matt J Storm. I have 2 YouTube accounts on that. It's posting on X right now, and it's also going to be on Instagram. I don't think it's going to be saved though. If any of you know how to save a broadcast from StreamYard to my page, I would love you, because the problem is as soon as this ends, it says discard video. And I do not want to discard it. I want to keep it as an archived video, and it's saying to archive it. I've tried it on the computer, and I've also tried it on my phone. I'm just not that tech savvy. So here's what we need to add. We need to add IT or tech support to Stormtrooper Productions. So that way, when we're doing all this stuff, I'm sitting here looking at my Rodecaster, and I'm surprised that I even got this figured out. But we've got sound effects if we wanted to do that, which we've had some epic fails before, of course, but now we're just having a little fun at doing it. But seriously, in all seriousness, questions, make sure and get them to me in the form of a DM, an email, a phone call, or a text. And if you don't know my phone number, I don't like to advertise it just because there's a lot of activity on it already. However, if you go to the website at stormclassicshow.com, guess what's at the top? It's my phone number. And yes, it's a real human talking to you. So if you like chatting and you're not confrontational and don't like long conversations, we're trying to shorten those conversations, to make them, more effective and more direct. More importantly, the text, you're going to get a faster response. That's no problem at all. We can do that. The way of communicating has definitely changed, and we're trying to find a way to make it more effective and efficient, because as the number of conversations are growing, because we've gotten so much interest from around the world at this point. I have people calling on WhatsApp. So they're not in this country. They're on a 7-hour time difference. They're calling from Hawaii, which is a 6-hour time difference in, Texas. So, think about the Big Island as well as Oahu, Kauai as well. They call in and say, hey, can we bring a team out? The answer is yes. You're part of the United States. We've had folks from Mexico, and I've had to have people translate the conversation. Hey, we got a small team down here. We saw your stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Team Canada will be back. We're hoping Ecuador and Colombia can be back as well. We do have their flags represented on the old banner, and the new banners are getting updated with all of the flags and all of the sponsors and partners. So I just want to give a big shout out to Prime Vitality Wellness. What you're going to see in the future is you're going to see Dr. Shiv Goel and myself talking about just the ins and outs of competing, what to look out for, how to do it the right way. We're also going to be bringing Cindy Barnett Phillips, GPS Wealth Management. We're going to be talking strategies for making sure on how to create margin in your life financially. So that way you're not spending everything that you make, or maybe you need to change professions or careers to increase your income. There's ways to increase your income. And there are also ways to cut expenses that you feel are necessary that might not be, that will save you a lot of headache and a lot of stress. And I do want to finish off with this. As we talked about the fourth thing, the stress takes a toll on your body physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And you know what I'm talking about, right? You just can't seem to get out of that rut. You're in neutral, you're hitting the gas, you're not going anywhere, and you're wondering why. Those are the things that you need to create in your life that allow you to keep, when you're in drive, the foot on the accelerator, not the brake. You can't use the brake and the accelerator at the same time. Thank you for that comment. They said, amen, 100%, and they gave me the little hand sign. So totally cool. I don't know, what is that? Is that either a prayer or is that a high five? Somebody tell me in the chat. I'd love to know. But those are those things that will allow you. It's both. There you go. They will allow you to get through those pinch points. And that, my friends, is what we're all about. So I know that was a loaded weekend update. And then, of course, we're going to finish off our posing. I didn't mention this. That's going to be May 18th in Friendswood, Texas. So it's going to be Southeast Houston at the Gold's Gym, where we kicked off the 2023 season. We are finishing the Houston clinics at the Gold's Gym in Friendswood. And then we will be kicking off our tour for Arizona at the Gym Phoenix, and that'll be in June. In July, we'll be at Henry's Gym at Fitness Junkies, and that, I believe, it's not in Peoria, but it's Southwest Phoenix. And PT by Joe, he has his open posing every single Sunday. He has anywhere between 12 to 50 athletes every single weekend. So be prepared to watch the Desert Storm Classic explode in numbers this year. And I think Nakia has been, he got a fuel injection in the Culture Fit Expo. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. We might need some more space. And I bet you Nakia is watching this. So you're going to see the Culture Fit Expo. It almost got like a revitalization, so to speak. But we're going to do some upgrades to all of the shows, including the Phoenix show. And of course, we're going to finish off the year back in Houston with the International Championships. And the venue on there, I'm still in love with. I mean, literally, when I go look at that venue, it just gives me that giddy feeling. If you've ever seen something to where, you think about it, you dream about it, you wake up to it. Yeah, that's the one. That is the one. And so when I saw that last year, I knew that was going to be a perfect culmination of 2024. And for what we have in store, and if we can make those plans work, which I believe we can, it'll be one of those shows to where when we worldwide live stream it, that is going to take 2025 to a whole new level. The plan is for live streaming, speaking of which, somebody asked me about that. The goal is to live stream every show. As long as we have the same production crew that we had last year. Matt did a great job with Matt's Media. He got the live stream up and running. The only issue we had, or the tweak that we had, was YouTube censors the music. So our DJs typically play house music, and there are copyright infringements. So can you watch it live? Yes, not a problem. There was no issue with that. The problem was when people wanted to watch the replay. I think it was 8.5 hours of footage. And so it was up for about a day, and then it got flagged, and then I couldn't access it anymore. So, does that footage still exist? The answer is yes. I just have to find a way to download it to like a super hard drive because it's so big that it will not come through Dropbox. We have to cut it up. We have to get each division out. And so, if you'll notice on the website, people ask me about posing. Why do you do quarter turns for bikini? Why do you do quarter turns for men's physique? What does that look like? That's why we cut the video and put that on posing. So it's in a section by itself on the website to explain posing and how it looks. And so how your coach can teach it. Now, we do teach quarter turns in our clinics. And so a lot of the folks who don't do quarter turns are like, well, I'm not familiar with this. Well, good. Do it anyway. That's okay. You know how to do a face the curtain and face the front. That's easy. Matter of fact, if you don't know how to do that, well, we need to go back to 101. And if you've never done quarter turns before, it's probably easier than face the front, face the back because you're only going 90 degrees instead of 180 degrees. So your transitions are shorter and smoother. And all you're doing is showing off the left and right side of your body. We want to see your symmetry. And the way that you show off your symmetry is all four ways, not just two, all four. That's why we do quarter turns. And so that was a European thing that they instituted way back when, and we're stealing it from Europe and we're bringing it to America because there are other organizations that have done it and they're picking up on it, realizing that that's an easier way to make sure that the winners are correct. Oh my gosh, do they show conditioning? Do they show symmetry? Do they show proportion, muscularity? You would be willing to bet that not everybody is perfectly symmetrical. And so the way that you're able to hide those imperfections in your symmetry and quarter turns is an art. And I will say that you can see them even in face the front, face the back, because when you turn around and you make that transition, the judges are looking at the transition and they see those flaws. So learn the quarter turns, even if you're not doing quarter turns in your shows. It's hugely beneficial and it'll show off the best part. Now, we also will work on getting off the mirror. That'll be important. Some of you are on the mirror and you stay on the mirror all the way up till showtime and you can see it because during the show, you're expecting to see a mirror and you have no idea how you look because you don't know how it feels without the mirror because you're always able to correct yourself in the mirror. That's one of the things that we teach in transition at the clinic. So why do you think you need to be at all four clinics and not just one? The first two clinics are with the mirror. And what we do is we shorten the time on the mirror. So that way, when the posing coaches transition you, you're actually doing it and we can do it on video. That way you can go back and review the footage from a judge's perspective, as opposed to what you're looking at face on. Much better, much cleaner, much crisper. And you learn faster too. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. This was we did it in about 64 minutes. That's pretty cool. Usually goes 2 hours. So we got it a little under that. And I'm really much looking forward to getting more back interactively online. Feel free and spread the word. If you have a show you need to register for, you can either go on the site or you can go on FitSquid directly. If you go to fitsquid.com, you'll see a list of events. You see a lot of NFF events on there. And we also use the same platform to do all the registration there. So we just make it super easy. What it does is it categorizes each division that you register for if you're doing like multiple divisions, and it drops them in the subcategories so we know how to build our spreadsheet for the show, which makes it so much easier for our scorekeeper, Lynette. And it's much easier to transition all of that information. Make sure at check-ins it's already there, and then give it to our MC, Morgan, when she's talking about bios and just getting all that out of the way too. So as the shows are going with competitors, we're looking for ways to streamline and make those transitions easy from division to division, as well as just the logistics of it, because that will make everything easier. Job from judging to scorekeeping to announcing to awards, everything will go much more fluidly, so to speak. So anyway, hope you all have a great weekend. We will look forward to catching back up here soon. You never know when I'll go live. So have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.